don't remember exactly when it started, but I do remember being asked to participate in a vacation Bible school in our church's groups, and they asked me to do some magic. I guess I'd gotten interested in high school, and I think I was going to a place in Chatham or London to get some magic. And I remember doing rice bowls and maybe a cut and restore and Professor Nightmare. And that's also where Harry the Hobo, my clown persona, came about and is still exact same costume as it was then as it is now. At least in the 80s when I was first started into just little simple magic. And then I went off to the Baptist Leadership Education Center for a year. And that's where I found out about the Fellowship of Christian Magicians. Got in touch with a gentleman named Tom Kerr, who was a supplier. And we went to a couple conventions, and I got into more of that magic and just more magic in general. Books, teach myself, and that was about it. I didn't have a whole lot of people. Like Tom Kerr showed me a few things, and when I was at convention, I went down to Winona Lake for a week-long conference down there for the Fellowship of Christian Magicians, and I did learn a few things there. That's where I learned my balloon twists, and at that time they were advanced twists, and now it's like everybody knows them. But yeah, that's when I started learning more and just getting into it. Magic tricks for every kid. Black book with a whole bunch of card tricks. A bunch of other books that I purchased that I still have. But just a lot of beginner's books. Basically, I think I started off a lot of prop magic. And then sort small things from Temu and some card tricks, but as it progressed, I ended up getting more into card tricks and rope tricks and stuff that sometimes I could just carry with me. Love you doing card tricks because I think sometimes it's something that everybody knows and everybody can see. And a lot of the card tricks now that I do, I don't even touch the cards. So it's someone else that does all the trick themselves. And it's like, wow. I don't consider myself beginner, and I don't consider myself total novice. It's somewhere in that in-between area. I'm not as nervous as what a beginner or novice or someone novice could be. It's a hobby / I entertain my friends, and now that my wife and I are going to be doing a lot more craft events, I always bring my cards and magic with me when I'm at some of these events for a few hours, and I'll go around to the tables and do card tricks for people and make them happy. I was doing a card trick once for my wife's, one of their cousins' weddings or something. I can't remember exactly, but she had three of her nephews, her cousins there, and they all had their girlfriends. I was doing this one card trick which involved using 3 people. And the 3 guys were all engineers. Figuring this should be simple. All you have to do is a little bit of counting, a little bit of dealing cards down on a table. Should be no problem. One of the gentlemen was having a hard time following instructions, at which point I adapted and said, maybe I should have used the girlfriends. And it just burst out laughing. Everybody said, yep, you should have. And to this day, when I do that trick again, I actually fall back onto that story. Some of the tricks that I like that work well depend on the person helping. But I do have one card trick that I do like doing that's pretty good. Spectators chooses 9 cards at random, makes 3 separate random piles, picks one of the piles, looks at that card on the bottom, puts it on one of the other piles, and then puts those cards on the last pile. They pick up the cards, and I have them spell the denomination of the card they chose. Deal that down to the table, put the cards back on, and I say, okay, now you're going to spell of. So 10 of clubs, or whatever. And then there's a last thing I have them spell is Magic, Magic. Tell them to stop there, ask them what the card they chose, and I say, turn over that card. And it will be the top card on the pile on the table. When I first moved down to be with my wife, I was on Paulette, right around the corner from Johnny. And she got me to know him. I think I would have gotten involved in the club way back then, because I remember meeting out at the car dealership. And then we moved up to Mississauga. No clubs up there that I got involved in. Then we moved back down here and I got back involved. So off and then on. So it's been about 20 years maybe. I don't know. Did I influence anybody? I influenced one of my nephews to get into magic. He started getting into magic and started showing me stuff every time. I would end up going up to my sister's every so often. And when he got married, when they said to do certain things to get the bride and groom to kiss, there was two options. One, I can't remember what it was, but the other one was to show Trevor a magic trick. And I actually had one set up and ready in my pocket, ready to do it. And I did it there. And I think that was one of the best moments I had. Just doing a magic trick for my nephew at his wedding, knowing that it was me that helped him get into magic. Basically, I took my clown persona after the hobo clown figurines, because my dad bought me one that was the clown doing the looking like this. And my dad said that reminded him of me looking out in the audience to get a volunteer when I was dressed up as Harry the Hobo. My own knowledge going back, like liking the old comedies and stuff like that, trying to just not mimic, but just taking notes from them. And Abbott Costello, Laurel and Hardy. When I was living in Acton, I helped out with the Optimist Clubs. And I also helped out with a bike rodeo that the local police were putting on. And there was a village constable who I always, when I've gotten my clown persona and he was with me, I'd always be picking on him. That threatened to be arrested a few times from him, jokingly, and he was such a great guy, and it's things like that you remember that influence you going forward, that you can joke around, you can have fun, and you're making people smile. Learn some of it and start practicing it. If it's cards, I ended up that I didn't realize what I was doing, but when I was living in Mississauga, we'd have to go across the road to the laundromat to do our laundry. And I would take a deck of cards and I would sit there and I would do the shuffle where you're just cutting the cards with one hand. And I would just sit there in the laundromat and I'd just be waiting for my laundry, cutting it. Wherever you are, just take a second or two. Even if it's in your mind, going through a card trick, saying what your pattern is going to be, how you're going to talk, or if you're going to do a rope trick, how you're going to talk, how you're going to react. Just take it nice and slow, and you'll start seeing people like it. And once you get those first couple, wow, how'd you do that? Or cool. It just gives you that extra little oomph to go that step further. I think the club right now is changing and evolving as we're getting different people in now, which is kind of nice, because it's like, I won't say new blood, but it's like a fresh approach, and you're getting people there that are saying that you can talk to with new ideas or old ideas. I was sitting down with Eric the other day when he wanted a broken wand, and I also brought him a nice set of multiplying wands for him. And we got talking about some of the stuff that I got started in, and he says, those are some of the tricks that my dad started off with. And just to know that where I started is where a lot of other magicians have started. And to see the club going in this direction as to hopefully with what's coming up, getting our face out there that here we are, that we might be able to get other people in and start sharing this with them for the next generation. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.